What is up, Tube users? I am the Stereotypical Gamer, and welcome back to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today, we are talking about a great little gem that I stumbled upon recently that is on sale right now for only $4, and that is Huntdown. I stumbled upon this game recently just going through developers I like and seeing what other games they had, and this is made by the same publishing company of Deep Rock Galactic, and Deep Rock Galactic is such a great game, and Coffee Stain Publishing just in general just makes terrific games from what I've seen of their back catalog. And so I saw this game, I had not heard of it, hadn't tried it out, and I was like, oh, what the heck, it's $4, I'll try it out. And oh boy, this game is really fun, and I enjoyed playing it quite a bit, and it really just gives a good blend of nostalgia for like the old stand-up arcade cabinet games, but also has a new feel and kind of gives it that 21st century vibe. The controls for this game definitely lend itself to those arcade cabinets as well, because it really does feel like it should be played on like a 6-button joystick kind of control scheme, because playing on the mouse and keyboard, well actually just the keyboard, you don't use the mouse at all, playing on the keyboard did feel a little bit janky at the start, but once you get used to the control scheme, which is a lot different than really any other game I've played, and I played some side scrollers on the PC like Spelunky and stuff, but this game definitely just kind of felt janky to start out, but once I got used to it, it wasn't too bad. And the overall mechanics that it brings to this kind of old school side-scrolling shooting definitely made it fresh and exciting, and something that I would just enjoy playing, because I think if I like went and played one of these old school arcade machines, like I think like Contraband was kind of one of these games back in the day, I don't think they're just as enjoyable because of like the amount of contented games that we have that are just shooters in general, you know. And so what this game does is give some interesting mechanics to boss fights, to just kind of the side scroll shooting in general and different weapons and stuff, that it makes it fresh and exciting and fun to play in a modern era. And I just love the idea of this game being like an old school 80s arcade cabinet side scroll shooter, but brought to the modern era where you can play it online with your friends. You know, you don't have to all be on the same machine crammed into the same cabinet, you know. And I think you can play with up to 4 people, so I don't know how well like enemies and stuff scale, because I feel like this first mission definitely lends itself to being for one person, but if there's more enemies that spawn with more people, I mean, that's just a great thing. And any game that has good gameplay that lends itself to co-op, it's just a plus in my book. And this game, I really do feel like it would be fun with co-op, and for $4 I might have to get this for a couple of friends to try that out. And just playing through the first couple of levels, I really enjoyed the boss fights at the end. It was mainly, it had like a formula of just going through a bunch of enemies and then at the end fighting a boss that has multiple stages. And each one, like obviously the first boss, you want it to be somewhat easy just so people can get the hang of it, and the first boss was definitely pretty easy, but each one got a little bit more challenging, a little bit more mechanics, and that's really cool. And I hope that just continues on in the game, and I'll definitely want to see like what the final boss brings, because just with the increase of mechanics through the first 3 bosses that I played, it was really exciting to see what they can do compared to just like how bosses worked in old school side scroll shooters. And I really enjoyed the art style of this game. It has that like retro pixelated feel, but like the explosions of like the explosive barrels and grenades and stuff really feel updated and feel like they are modern, but in this old school way. It's kind of weird to explain, but just how like pretty everything looked with these kind of like 16-bit graphics was just a treat. And I think some of that has to do with like the color palette this game has. It kind of has that like 1980s retro wave, but a futuristic cyberpunk feel. And it really blends well together, and I just love the look combined with the kind of like synth music that plays throughout the game. It just is a great combination of great art style and great music melding together. But enough of the good, let's go over some of the bad in this game. And I don't really have a lot of bad things to say, just because I played very little of this game. I only played through the first couple of levels and just enjoyed it so much that I thought it should make a video of it. But there were some like bad points, I would say, and the first one I touched on a little bit is the control scheme. By default just feels really clunky. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad, but off the rip it didn't feel that smooth, and it did take me a little bit to actually get used to how the controls work and how just kind of the mechanics work, which is the same for most games, but most games I can get the hang of things pretty quickly and I don't have to worry about stuff. Here, it was definitely a different case of just things not feeling right control-wise and not being able to really do much until I fixed it. I do like how clean the HUD is on this game. It's just really basic. The top left shows your health, how many kills, your ammo, and stuff like that. And if there is a boss, it will show the health at the top of the screen. Like, it's all just really smooth and gives you the most space for gameplay. But I wish there was like some like bigger warning for when you are at low health. Like, obviously I could see the light blinking in the top left, but you don't really feel that, and if you're not paying attention to that, it will throw you off guard. And there was definitely some times where I didn't think I was that low of health, and I actually was and ended up dying. And so I just wish there was a better indicator of when you're at low health, like maybe some sort of sound indicator or something. The only other thing, and it's a small thing, but I think it's the voice of the character. There's 3 different characters you can play as, and I chose, I forget, Mumo or something is his name, and I think he's like some sort of cyborg or something, but his voice lines that like play while you're playing, it feels all very monotoned and bland, especially for the amount of action that's going on, and maybe that's just because he's an automaton or something like that. There wasn't really a whole lot of story to it, but just hearing his bland voice while all this action goes on kind of just made it feel not as exciting as it should be, because there's a lot of action going on, you know, and you're trying to dodge bullets and stuff, and just hearing your character just have this monotone voice was just kind of uninspiring. That's all the complaints I had for this game. Overall, I did really enjoy the small amount of time I did play this game, and I definitely will be playing more of it because of the nostalgic feel that this game brings, but also just because of how good and unique the gameplay is. Like, it definitely has its own feel in terms of how the controls work and just how the mechanics of bosses work. Like, most of the regular enemies you come across are pretty basic. Like, they'll just have some of the weapons that you'll come across, and which makes them a little bit different, but overall they're all kind of the same. They all take the same amount of damage, but the bosses definitely felt unique, and I think that was the main point that was really fun, was the boss fights. Getting to them, yeah, there was, like, obviously it's fun to blast through a bunch of enemies, you know, but the boss fights and just how you have to use all the mechanics in the game, like, especially for this third boss fight, I was using a lot of the different dodging. Most of the other 2, I just had to jump out of the way of them, but this one, you're just in the ring with the boss, so there is no real escape, so you have to use your dodge abilities, and kind of you have to combine them all, which was just a really great way of just highlighting mechanics early on and making it fun and interesting. And another thing that I really liked about this game that I forgot to mention, that it's just a small, minute detail, is the secrets in this game. While the maps themselves are pretty linear and pretty small for the most part, the way of finding some of these secret collectibles was really fun and interesting, and I love when games do that, just have these little secrets that don't mean much but just kind of liven up the gameplay a little bit. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you did, comment, subscribe, and go check out Huntdown on Steam for only $4 right now. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.